So today, we're not just going to be looking at some historical epic. Nope, we're going to dive into the journey of one man's conscience, a blacksmith who literally travels to the ends of the earth looking for forgiveness, only to find himself responsible for the soul of an entire city. Let's get into it. All right, let's set the scene. We're in the bitter cold of 1184 France. We meet our guy, Balian, a blacksmith who is just utterly hollowed out by grief. His child has died, and his wife, who just couldn't handle the pain, took her own life, which, back then, the church considered an unforgivable sin. So this is a man who truly has nothing left to lose. But, this incredible loss? It's really just the beginning. His despair is about to send him down a completely new and way more violent path. So, into this pit of despair rides a group of crusaders, and their leader, a lord named Godfrey, drops a bombshell. He's Balian's father, who he's never known. He offers Balian a fresh start, a whole inheritance over in the Holy Land. But Balian, he's just stuck in his grief, and he says no. The thing that finally pushes him over the edge, though, is his own brother, a priest of all people, who cruelly admits that because she committed suicide, he had Balian's wife's body decapitated before burial. Well, in a blind rage, Balian runs his brother through with a burning sword, and just like that, he's a murderer. So now, think about it. He's not just a grieving man anymore. He's an outlaw and a killer. His only real option is to run. He finds his father's group with a brand new sense of purpose. He couldn't care less about land or titles now. He's going to Jerusalem to find forgiveness for what he's done. But let me tell you, the road to forgiveness, it is not going to be some quiet, simple pilgrimage. It is a brutal, brutal trial by fire that is going to strip him of everything all over again. I mean, this journey is just relentless. First, they get ambushed, and his father, Godfrey, is mortally wounded. But before he dies, he knights Balian, turning a simple blacksmith into a lord. Then, his ship gets caught in a massive storm, and he's the only survivor, washed up on a shore with nothing. And as if that's not enough, he has to cross a brutal desert where he's forced into a duel to the death. The craziest part is, every single step he takes towards getting forgiveness is paved with more violence and more loss. It's just constantly testing him. Finally, against all odds, Balian makes it to Jerusalem. And what he finds there, well, it's nothing like he could have possibly expected. It's a city built on a fragile, almost unbelievable idea. And okay, this right here, this is the absolute heart of the story. Jerusalem isn't just some holy landmark. It's what its incredibly wise leper king, Baldwin IV, calls a kingdom of conscience. I mean, think about that. In an age of just non-stop, brutal religious war, here is a city where Christians, Muslims, and Jews are actually coexisting. This peace is hanging by a thread, held together by a truce with the great Muslim leader, Salahuddin, and pretty much the sheer force of King Baldwin's will. So Balian goes to claim his father's land, Ibelin, and it turns out to be just a barren patch of dust in the middle of nowhere. But it's here, far away from all the court politics, that he starts to find a piece of himself again. He gets his hands dirty, he works the land, he digs for water, and he turns this desert into a place where people can actually live and thrive. And he learns that being a lord, it's not about power, it's about protecting your people. He's finally building something instead of destroying it. But you know how it is. This kind of fragile peace, it always has enemies. And these enemies are right there, inside the city walls. Fanatics who see coexistence as a weakness and are just itching for a war. And this is really the core conflict boiling up in Jerusalem. On one side, you've got King Baldwin's vision, peace, diplomacy, coexistence. But on the other side, you've got guys like Guy de Lusignan and this absolute fanatic, Renaud de Chatillon. To them, peace is for the weak. They truly believe it's God's will to wage war, to conquer, and to grab as much power as they can, no matter who gets hurt. So the fanatics, they just go ahead and shatter the peace on purpose. Renaud attacks a peaceful Muslim caravan, a totally unprovoked act of aggression. Saladin, of course, demands justice. In one last absolutely heroic moment, the dying King Baldwin drags himself out of bed, gets his army together, and confronts Renaud, saving the truce for one last time. But it's just delaying the inevitable. Soon after, the king dies, and the warmonger, Guy, takes the throne. War is now a certainty. So, the one man holding this whole fragile piece together is gone, and a complete fool is now wearing the crown. The Kingdom of Jerusalem is marching headfirst into an absolute catastrophe.
The new king, Guy, he falls for Saladin's bait hook, line, and sinker. Against every piece of good advice, he marches the entire Crusader army deep into the desert with no water supply. It's a perfect trap. Saladin's forces surround them, and at the Battle of Hattin, the Christian army is completely wiped out. It's not just a loss, it is an annihilation.
And that leaves Jerusalem completely defenseless, a sitting duck. Saladin and his massive, victorious army are on their way. All the professional soldiers are either dead or captured. The king is gone, so who? Who is possibly left to defend the hundreds of thousands of innocent people inside those walls? Bullion, the blacksmith, the man who came to Jerusalem just to save his own soul, now finds himself responsible for saving every single soul in the entire city. The reluctant lord has no choice but to step up and lead the defense. The odds are they're impossible. You've got Saladin's professional, conquering army on one side. On the other, Balian, a handful of knights, and a city full of civilians. But through sheer guts and clever engineering, he actually holds them off for 3 days. But he's a realist. He knows this is a fight they just cannot win in the long run. So, faced with the certain slaughter of everyone in the city, Balian has this moment of clarity. He finally understands what the kingdom of heaven really is. It's not the stones, it's not the churches, it's the people. He goes out to negotiate terms with Saladin, but check this out. He doesn't beg for mercy. He bargains. He basically tells Saladin, if your army storms this city and starts a massacre, we will destroy every single holy site, Christian and Muslim alike. We will burn it all to the ground, leaving you nothing but ashes to conquer. Saladin, being a reasonable man himself, sees the logic. He agrees. He lets every Christian walk out of the city safe and sound. Balian loses the city of Jerusalem, but he saves its people. And with that, his journey comes full circle. After defending the people, after finding his own moral code, he gives up his title. He goes all the way back to that little blacksmith's forge in France. He's no longer a lord. He's just a man who is finally at peace, with a clear conscience. He found his salvation, not in a holy building, but in his own actions. So the story leaves all of us with a really profound question, one that still matters so much today. What truly makes a place holy or a nation great? Is it the symbols and the stones and the walls, or is it the safety and the dignity of the people who live there? Balian's journey seems to suggest the answer isn't about what we own, but about who we protect.